asked how I did the upvoting thing on this SpreadSimple page. I'll guide you through it and share some of the little hacks that I use it. So, just to put you in context, this is a SpreadSimple page dedicated to um, gather customization CSS codes. So here you can find like ways to increase the size of images and change text and location, position, buttons, and all this kind of stuff. And I already managed to add customizations directly from here. So if someone pushes this green button, it will be taken to a native forms form where it can describe the customization he's inputting, where this should be placed on SpreadSimple, and pasting the code here. If they want, they can leave their name and then upload a screenshot. So this is sort of semi-automatic because it jumps into the Google Sheets that fills or feeds a SpreadSimple page, but I have to like select and approve it because I don't want people publishing things that I'm not in control here. But this is the other side of things. But this is what was working. And then Tom asked me, well, why don't you put an upvoting feature here? And I immediately replied him saying, oh, this can't be done because this is not a feature of SpreadSimple. It's not even, I believe, on their roadmap. But then I got that thing in my head and I thought, well, maybe I could use some of my tools to build it. And there came this idea that if I could put a link here uh, that could trigger a webhook, I could use Pabbly to add values on this column that I created, the upvotes. So this is the sheet that feeds SpreadSimple here, and I didn't have these three green sheets here. So the original idea was having a link that would act as a webhook and would trigger Pabbly to add a value here. But then I thought, well, maybe a jerk could like put this webhook to be triggered like 100 times and it would eat up my Pabbly tasks. So I needed to have a sort of prevention for this, um, like a security thing. And I decided to go with native forms again because it has reCAPTCHA. So what I did is that I created a form. Uh, so here it is. Let me show you. I'll open it in another sheet. And user must answer one question for the form to be able to be sent. And here he must select this yes. And then there's this reCAPTCHA that could be like clicked and must be clicked for him to submit. But note one thing, this is sort of generic form and would not identify what would be the customization upvoted. So this is a little hack that I use quite often. When you have these native forms, you could inject things here, and I could like put a question mark and then define a variable. So name, for example, and then put the variable Felipe. So every time someone answers this form, no matter what it is, when the webhook is triggered, it will carry a name variable with the payload of Felipe. So I used this to build this upvoting system. So if you hover over the upvotes here, you notice that there are numbers in the end, like upvote 167 here, and then upvote 194 here, and so on. So each one of these is identified by a number, and you can see these numbers here. I call it hash. It's not actually hash, but every time someone votes, it carries this number And then what I do is that I uh, do a sum if in the column that Pabbly is filling here. So when someone votes on native forms, it goes to Pabbly and then Pabbly publishes it here. And then I do a sum if here. So for that particular customization, number 220, sum the amount of upvotes that it received on the column H. And this is why and how these numbers here get updated every time someone upvotes it. And the rest is just like uh, setting things to feel less um, confusing. So every time someone votes, Native Form sends the user back to the original like SpreadSimple page. So this is the flow. Someone clicks the link when it upvotes and follows and answers these questions. It sends Publi sends the results to that sheet, this one, which I call it upvoter, and then on Google Sheets do a sum if for the IDs or hashes of each one of the customizations and sum this column. So that's it. I hope you enjoy and take care.